Hello, neighbors. It's that time. I feel like we've had kind of a long break just because of the way the days fell for this month. But yeah, we have definitely some items on our agenda tomorrow. But I am going to cover some upcoming dates that I wrote down to just, alert you guys to. The most important one being, the most important occasion being the Artemis II. Flying by the moon right now, literally. It's like behind the moon right now. So that's been pretty amazing. I've been kind of living my life by the moon. And that beautiful team of 4 that is out there exploring space. So yeah, that was really cool. I cried a lot today watching them talk live about identifying 2 new craters that hadn't previously been identified and wanting to name one of them after Reed's late wife, who died of cancer since they've been in training for this mission. So just totally sobbed my eyeballs out earlier today, and just a really beautiful moment in time, and I'm glad I got to witness it. But anyway, today, important date, is the last day to register to vote if you want to vote in the May 5th primary that is coming up. Also, it wouldn't hurt if you haven't just verified your registration to just go ahead and check it and make sure that everything is current. Update your registration if you've moved and you haven't updated your address, all those kinds of things. You can do that at govote.tn.gov. So I encourage you to go ahead and do that ASAP if you haven't already. Let's see. Tomorrow night, we have our city commission meetings, and I did mention this at the last Porch talk, I believe, but they are starting early at 4:30 because we are having our first kind of budget workshop introduction to the budget season. But at 5:30 p.m. at Alpine Crest Elementary, they will be holding a meeting about the future of that elementary school, which is the only elementary school remaining in Red Bank city limits. So if you want to know what the progress is for the new mega school that had been proposed to be built, and you want to know what the timeline might look like for when they may close Alpine Crest and transition over to a new mega school, you can attend that meeting at 5:30 p.m. at the school. And our meetings are live streamed and recorded, so if you are like, I really want to go to this meeting, you can always watch our meeting afterward. So that's that. This Friday is our first food truck Friday of the season, from 5:30 to 8:30. So if you've been looking forward to that, come on down to Red Bank City Park. April 19th is a very momentous occasion. It'll be the ribbon cutting and grand opening of the Godsey Ridge Trail System. Very exciting. That's going to be at 1:30 p.m. That's a Sunday, and that is in the afternoon. They just wanted to try to make it open and accessible for as many folks as possible so they're not missing it because of work and all those kinds of things. And then you'll have an opportunity to walk on the trails and talk to the people who built the trails, and the trail builder actually lives here in Red Bank, so it's very cool. And then April 25th, we have our Earth Day cleanup, which we do annually with Green Steps, and that's 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And then later that same day, April 25th, we're going to have our first Food Truck Saturday event, and that's 5:30 to 8:30. Just doing that because a lot of folks can't make it to the Friday event because they're just trying to get home from work and ending their week. So we're trying out one Food Truck Friday, one Food Truck Saturday a month for this season. So check it out. All right. So our first item of business is we're going to have our Budget 101 presentation by our city manager tomorrow. And he's going to talk about just where we are in the current budget season, how we got to this point, and budget dates that are going to be upcoming, which I am going to talk through those real quick, just to give you guys an idea, if you want to put them on your calendar. So he'll just be talking about, that process. And then next Tuesday, the 14th of April, we're going to be meeting at 5 o'clock to receive the first budget, the first version of the budget. And we're going to see presentations from our police chief, our fire chief, and then our court clerk. And then there will be the opportunity for citizen comments at the end as well. There will be citizen comment opportunities at every single one of these workshops, so I'm not going to repeat that. Just know that that's true. And then we're going to meet again Tuesday, April 21st, which is a regular meeting for us. And we're going to start early at 4:30, like we're doing tomorrow. We're starting at 4:30 tomorrow, not 5 o'clock. But the 21st, we'll be getting our capital improvement plan presentation by staff. This is a pretty big deal because we never in Red Bank have had a capital improvement plan. And as you guys know, cities have a lot of capital improvements that have to be made over time, whether it's facilities improvements, road infrastructure, sidewalks, vehicles, equipment, etc. And then other projects like parks development and, other amenities that we may want to see in our future. Our pool is 64 years old and way, way, way past its end of life. So things like that, capital improvement, will be a part of our capital improvement plan presentation. So if you want to hear that, that's probably the biggest deal of everything that we're going to be talking about this budget season. That one, like I said, is during our regularly scheduled work session, but starting at 4:30 on April 21st. Then we have budget workshop number 4 on Tuesday, April 28th, starting at 5. And that will be our public works presentation, our community development presentation, and then City Hall, which is administration and finance presentation. And then Tuesday, May the 5th, that's our regular meeting. We're going to start early at 4:30, and we're just going to have open discussion by the City Commission on the budget proposal and all of the presentations and maybe kind of extra requests that some of the departments have made. That will be an opportunity for us to have discussion around that, talk about what we think we could manage including in the budget this year or not, might have to delay, etc. And then Tuesday, May the 12th, this is a bigger one, more important one for the community. If you aren't able to attend any other one, but maybe you watch them afterward, because I would like to hope that you would inform yourself before you come and give comments about the budget or the, proposed budget items. Tuesday, May the 12th, we are going to have a town hall budget meeting at 5 o'clock at the community center. And that's where our staff are going to be working on like having posters, storyboard types, graphics, images, information that's been presented so far during all the budget presentations for everybody to review, refresh on, hopefully, and then have just an open town hall for everybody to come and give comments about certain things that they like, don't like, have questions about, because at that point in time, all of the department presentations will have been made. So, you should have all the information you need to say, hey, well, why are you guys budgeting for this year? Could you do it next year? Hey, I really like that. That's a really great plan. Whatever. But that will be open-ended. And like I said, that's Tuesday, May the 12th. And that's the only one that we're planning to have at the community center. Everything else will be in our regular city courtroom chambers. And then Tuesday, May the 19th, at our regular commission meeting is where we plan to have our first reading and vote on the budget, followed by the second vote at our June the 2nd regular meeting. We're meeting every Tuesday from tomorrow through May 19th. And then we're meeting for our regular June meeting. And that will be our second vote if everything, just goes so perfectly and according to plan, and we have all of our ducks in a row and have all the information we need to make an informed vote. If not, we have, like I've told y'all before, we have until the end of June to vote on the budget to be, in good standing with the state. So that's that. And I will be making slides with those dates. I didn't for tomorrow just because it's the 101 kind of introduction where we are in this current budget season. We're not going to be talking about anything as far as like the proposed budget for this next fiscal year. But I will be making slides for all the rest of those for you guys to reference back to for the rest of those dates. Okay, next on the agenda, we will be talking about approving an agreement with Edmund Software, and it's for our finance department and our Parks and Rec management, or Parks and Rec department, for them to help manage like online registrations, payments for like the community center, because right now the way that it works for Parks and Rec, if you want to reserve the community center, you have to pay $150 deposit, and then I have to sign a check every Friday for people who reserve the community center to pay that $150 back to them if there were no issues at the community center while they rented it. We just have been trying to catch up with the times since I got elected, and this is a major step forward if we get this voted in tomorrow. But it's also doing a lot of stuff for our HR department, like onboarding. All of that's online. We would have online digital timesheets for our employees, which we do not currently have. They all fill it out by paper. They fill out like vacation slips by paper. They fill out everything, COBRA, FMLA, all of that stuff is all paper. And it's a lot of paper. So that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. If you want to hear more about the software, our HR director, city recorder, director of finance and administration, she'll be presenting on that. And that will come at an annual cost of $21,207.29. Let's see. Item 3 is approving a contract for replacing the Kids Corner playground fence. And that's going to cost just over $10,000. We have some ARPA facilities improvements funds still left, so we're going to be using those to replace that. So that's not coming out of the general fund, it's coming out of those ARPA funds that we have to spend by December 31st of this year. Item 4, we're going to be recognizing National Telecommunicators Week as April 12th through the 18th. That's our 911 dispatchers. Very appreciative of them and all the work that they do. We have to pay them, Hamilton County 911. Every year the fee goes up, but it's always lower than what we would have to pay to do it ourselves. So, and they're really, really great and reliable. Item 5 is authorizing, we're going to talk about this one for a minute, authorizing the allocation and expenditure of interest earned on American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, state and local fiscal recovery funds. So this was something that kind of came out of the fact that the end of this year, like I just said, we have to spend those ARPA funds. But while we've had those ARPA funds in the bank, they have been accruing interest. And according to the federal guidelines, we actually get to keep that interest, and we can do whatever we want with it. We can just plug it back into the general fund or use it on other, expenditures that we were planning or wanted to plan for in the next fiscal year. So we have accrued something like $200,000 or so in interest on these ARPA funds. And as a potential proposal, our public art board, some members of the community have been really excited about a potential mural project, an art mural project at Morrison Springs Road on that retaining wall there underneath the church. We do own that. We applied for a grant last year, I believe, and unfortunately we didn't get it. But we also have some grant funds, not very much, maybe like $10,000 or $14,000 that came from the Red Bank Saudi Daisy Charitable Foundation to help cover some of that cost. Well, it's a major project. Like, if you guys haven't seen that wall, it's a very big wall. It's, there's like, it would need to be sealed. There's like lamp posts in it. We would need to make sure those, worked or if they needed to be removed, we would have to pay to remove those. all that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty big project. It's an expensive project. The scale is very big. And because we have these interest funds, there was some desire to potentially allocate those for mural. The resolution, as it is worded right now, is proposing $125,000 to be allocated toward that. I don't want to go into too much detail right now, and because I will be having this conversation with everybody in public tomorrow in our meeting. But because we have this capital improvement plan proposal and this presentation that will be coming up, we know we have a lot of capital projects that are in the pipeline. We have TDOT projects that are currently in progress that we are going to have to continue to pay on because the way TDOT works, it's 80-20, but we have to pay everything up front and then they reimburse us, and sometimes it takes months to get those funds back. But we have like 4 projects in the works with TDOT. There were some projects on the horizon. We have the Hickson property that, we are looking to start development on as soon as the National Park Service returns our conversion agreement back with a thumbs up saying, yep, this is a good new plan, we're going to go with it. Then that gives us 3 years to complete the development of that property to be fully in compliance with the National Park Service again. Okay. And then there's also the former Red Bank Middle School property, on top of equipment needs that we have, personnel costs. If we want to do a cost of living increase for our employees, operation costs go up every single year. I don't know if you guys know, but there's some crazy bananas violent stuff happening in Iran right now that's causing our gas prices to be really high. Our diesel fuel for our employees for our employee trucks and vehicles is very, very expensive right now. So there's a lot of things that we have to consider. And I'm just unfortunately not sure if this is the right time for that. But we'll talk more about that tomorrow. If you have feelings, thoughts, questions, concerns about it, obviously, please come to the meeting, listen into the conversation. You'll be able to give comments before we vote on it. But $125,000 could go a long way in other more maybe tangible ways at this point in time. Like Leslie, our community development director, has said to us in the past when we've talked about capital planning and kind of, looking several years ahead and knowing we have limited resources, revenues, we have to balance dollars and dreams. And unfortunately, if we don't have all the money in the world. So that's just something we're going to have a very, serious conversation about. And that's going to continue on throughout this budget season. There's a lot of things that we want to do, that we know we would like to do, that we need to do. We just are going to have to figure out how to prioritize all those things. So just a heads up on that. We'll be having that conversation tomorrow. Item 6, this is the sad one, guys. We are officially going to have to declare our judge seat vacant. Sadly, our judge, Johnny Houston, has been medically incapacitated for several months now. And during that time, we were appointing a temporary judge every 30 days. And unfortunately, because of Judge Houston's status, his medical status, the Tennessee, court, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if it's circuit court, but they declared his law license suspended due to disability. And because that technically means that he's not able to practice law in the state of Tennessee at this time, he does not qualify to maintain his judge seat. And it's very sad. We are all very sad about it. But unfortunately, this is just a legal procedure that we have to go through. So we'll be declaring that seat vacant. We don't have a plan yet as far as what next steps are going to look like. We can appoint someone to sit in that seat, temporarily until the next election. But our city attorney is still talking to the election commission right now to figure out how that would work, how we could get his seat on the ballot and when. Because there's 2 elections this year. There's a general election in August for all the county seats, and then there's a general election in November. So just stay tuned. But it's a sad day for us having to do that. Item 7 is budget amendments, and these are for some expenditures. You know, that means that we made an expenditure that wasn't in the budget last year, that came up, you know, as an emergency or as carryover from another year. So one of those is we bought a truck for Public Works that was budgeted for like 3 years ago. Kept being budgeted for. We just never got it until this year. And so because that expenditure was unplanned because we voted for it like 3 years ago, we have to make an amendment to the budget for that. We have to make an amendment because we had to add funding for CARTA paratransit services for this year because we did not budget enough. And that's another thing that we're going to have a very serious conversation about during budget season, unfortunately. It's very costly. And then we had to do a debris cleanup on a property that we got an adjudication from court on down right outside the tunnel. You guys probably saw there was like all that wood debris and all this stuff, and it was spilling over and it was unsafe. We went through all the process over like months and months and months and months, took them to court. They didn't even show up. So we paid for the removal of all that stuff and to clean that up. And then what happens now is there will be a lien that will be put on their property. So eventually, one day, hopefully we'll get those funds back. But that was an expenditure that was unanticipated for this year. And then we had a single audit fee because when we have certain grants, we have to pay a separate fee to have our auditors audit that. So that was $7,000 for that. And then for Parks and Rec, we did a yellow book appraisal of the Hickson property for our conversion agreement, which is legally required by the federal government. So that was $9,000. And then our stormwater department had a $4,000 unplanned expenditure where they had to pay to remove beavers from Stringer's Branch and to remove a dam that they had made in Stringer's Branch. Bless them. They're just doing what they were born to do, but it can cause floods. So anyway, so that's what those are. The next few items are all centered around amending our speed limit in certain sections of the city. And mostly this is related to school zone areas. But one section that is being proposed for a speed limit change is the section outside, like when you come through the tunnel heading north into Red Bank, the Cherokee Tunnel, and approach Signal Mountain Road. They're proposing, our police chief, public works director, based on traffic data and the change in our striping of that section of the road, proposing that that speed limit be changed from 40 down to 35. Mostly that's because on the other side of the tunnel in Chattanooga, it's 35 there. So it's more for consistency along that whole state route because that whole section is owned by TDOT. But we have the ability to amend the speed limit. So that is being proposed. And then the other areas are all of Ashland Terrace and then Dayton Boulevard, like downtown area from East Leawood. So that's like where the Red Bank United Methodist Church is. Up north past Ashland Terrace to Woodrow. That's being proposed to go down to 35 miles per hour. And then, okay, that's it. Those are the only changes to the speed limit itself. And then proposed school zone speed limits on Morrison Springs Road and Ashland Terrace would be 25 miles per hour during school zone hours. And then Alpine Crest would be 15 miles an hour because that's in a completely residential area. So What do you think about speed limit changes, guys? Come on down to our meeting tomorrow and let us know. These are ordinances, I will say, so this won't be the first or the only opportunity you'll have to give comments on it before we vote. We have 2 readings on ordinances. So tomorrow will be our first readings, and then we'll have our second reading at our next meeting, I assume. I haven't seen it yet, but April 21st. And then the final item is the agreement with Blue Line Solutions, which is the company that our police chief has proposed to use for speed enforcement cameras in the school zone areas only. So that would be on Morrison Springs Road and then Ashland Terrace. And they would only be active during the school zone times. So like that morning time, you know, for drop off, and then the afternoon time for pickup. That's it. That's it. Not a whole lot. Just kidding. It was a lot. Yeah, that's what we got going on, friends. We have a lot happening, and it's about to get just really busy. All of my Tuesdays. So all of our Tuesdays for the foreseeable future. But if you guys have any questions, you know where to find me. Tomorrow's meeting starts at 4:30. Just stay tuned for budget dates and workshops, and I hope to see y'all there. It would be really nice if you do support what's happening and what we're talking about doing for our next budget year, and, you know, bigger picture. Maybe showing up for budget meetings here and there, maybe giving comments to that effect, if you feel that way. A lot of times, as we know, in government meetings, a lot of times people only come out and give comments when they're upset about something. So when that happens and there's, like, you know, several of them and there's only, you know, a couple people that support it, they seem to think that they're the majority, and that's not always true. Sometimes it is, but not always. And so if you do support these things, and or you know, want to see them continue, I would just ask if maybe you could show your support physically in person at some of our budget meetings. All right, that's it. I hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow at 4:30.